Hey everybody, welcome to my tutorial for Thaumcraft 4. This tutorial will cover the basic research for the Thaumcraft, and it won't cover any of the advanced mechanics. I'm going to let you discover that for yourself, but let's get started. So, Thaumcraft 4 is, as it sounds, the fourth iteration of the Thaumcraft mod, which has been around for a very long time. I think it was one of the earliest mods developed, along with like IC2 and Buildcraft. Um, Basically, it's a mod all about magic and magical things. It adds a couple of ores to the world, it adds some weird phenomenons, and it's an all-around fun tool to play with. It adds some pretty nifty gadgets too, like this, the Arcane Boar. That's a teaser for later on, I guess. So anyway, let's get started with the basics. So, basics of Thaumcraft 4 are as such. You will get new Oregen as such. Infused stone, which has this nifty look like this. There's 6 types of it: air, fire, earth, water, order, and entropy. And you'll learn what those mean later, but when you mine them, you get their respective type of shard, which I think it's like anywhere from 1 to 4 of the type. So it'll be air, fire, or earth, water, order, or entropy shards. And these spawn just anything, I think anywhere below level 64, in anywhere up to 6 block veins, and so they'll spawn in their respective types more often near their element. So air infused will more often spawn like on the surface of caves, I think. Fire will more often spawn near lava. Earth will spawn encased in rock. Water will spawn near water source blocks. And order and entropy are sort of just flexible. They spawn anywhere. So, and that's not guaranteed to be where they spawn, but they spawn more often in those locations, unless Asinor changed the code in the last update. So that's just sort of where you want to search for them. Thaumcraft also adds a couple of world gen features. It adds totems. So let's see if I can find a totem. I don't see any totems. It also adds these glowing things here. Now you will not be able to see these without what I'm wearing. You will see this. It does emit light though, and you'll be able to locate it by its light. It's called an aura node, and it's this little faint glimmering thing. And what it does is it emits magical aura. And it used to actually control the environment, but now it's pretty much just for research and magical tinkering purposes. So if I'll explain this device I'm using, but if you use special devices, you can actually see them, and it's this bright glowing orb, sort of pulses, and it contains magical energy in different amounts and quantities and stuff like that. So, anyway, the first thing you will want to do with Thaumcraft is you'll want to craft yourself 3 tables. Tables are any types of wood planks and 3 of any type of slabs, and it gives you 1. You'll need 3. The first thing you'll want to do is, in addition to crafting that, you will also need scribing tools, which is a glass bottle, a feather, and any type of black dye, or a glass vial, which is just clay and glass instead of just glass, and it gives you 8 instead of 3. So that's how you want to do it. And then you also need yourself an iron-capped wooden wand, which you can make with 2 iron caps and any type of stick. The iron caps are made with 5 iron nuggets each, or iron ore berries. So anything that's classified by Forge as an iron nugget, and it gives you 1. So you'll need 10, which is Cruel of Asinor. He's the guy who developed this mod, because that will leave you with that'll take 2 iron ingots worth, and that'll leave you with 8 nuggets, which is 1 short of a full ingot. And that's really cruel, because that means you'll forever have 8 iron nuggets laying around with nothing to do with them. So, yeah, it's kind of cruel. Anyway, past that point, use them like this, and you will get an iron cap wooden wand. So you'll need that. Then you will also need 1 bookcase, or bookshelf. I call them bookcases because that's how I've always thought of them. And so what you want to do with the bookshelf is place it in the world. Then you will want to right-click it with your wand. It will turn into a Thauminomicon, which you will pick up, and you can right-click. Shows you this GUI. It's rather pretty looking. It's got like a cosmos background and a nice wood-etched frame. Click and drag to move around. It has these little nodes sort of things here, and these will tell you about Thaumcraft. So you can see research, peripherals, auras and nodes, aspects of magic, ores, enchantments, the peck, which are new mobs, plants and trees, all sorts of stuff. So what you want to do is you want to click on the research. Go to the next page. You can read this if you want. I'm not going to on camera because it's boring for you guys. And you'll want to craft a thermometer, which is one of each type of shard, which I described earlier from the various ores, 2 gold ingots, and glass. It gives you 1 thermometer. Thermometer looks like this. When you hold it, you hold up this like viewing glass thing. When you mouse over something, it shows you that something. And so you can see that's a cloud. This is a dryad. And it's also that device I was using earlier to see the aura nodes. So you can see aura nodes with this. See? Thermometer, no thermometer. Thermometer, no thermometer. And so, it just shows you more of the magical world. So it's very useful. And I will show you its primary purpose shortly. What you want to do with the tables is you'll want to place them down, 2 right next to each other, and then another one sort of off to the side. Right-click one of them with your wooden wand, and it'll turn into an arcane work table, and your wand will go in it. You can take that out if you want. This is just a regular crafting table, but it has a slot for a wand, so you can use this for Thaumic stuff, which you'll see in the Thaumonomicon, because I'm not going to explain that, because that would be spoilers. The other one, right-click it with your scribing tools, and if I wasn't in creative, the scribing tools would disappear from my hand and go in here. And this is your research table. And since I've already got one over here, I'll just destroy this one. And you will need not only your scribing tools, but some paper, and you'll see this list of aspects off to the side. Now, if you're at all familiar with Thaumcraft or any of its previous versions, you will know that these aspects are sort of the building blocks of things. But for those of you who have never played for Thaumcraft before, or never really bothered to play with it, even if you had it, then you're in for a treat because this is an awesome mod. Basically, aspects make up everything. Everything in the Minecraft world is made of aspects, or at least has aspects correlated with it. So, there are 6 basic aspects, and in their sort of Latin-like names, they are air, aqua, ignis, ordo, perdito, and terra, which mean air, water, fire, order, regularity or purity, entropy, chaos or destruction, and earth. So, basically, they're just representations of those things. So, you're going to need these in this panel along the side. So what you're going to want to do is you may want to look around in your Thaumonomicon a little bit more. It'll tell you about aspects. It'll tell you about aura nodes. It'll tell you about the Thaumonomicon, what it does, how it works, and it'll tell you how to use the research table. And so you'll see the labeled diagram of the research table here. What the research table does is this slot here holds your scribing tools. This slot here holds your paper. This slot here holds the aspects that you have. And I'll show you how to get more in a second. The purple button with the 2 arrows allows you to fuse aspects in an attempt to get a higher level aspect. The green arrow with the green button with a single arrow pointing to the right is the research or activation button. That's a critical button you're going to need. So, the use of the thermometer, besides seeing aura nodes and other features of the magical world, is you can scan things. Holding right-click will initiate a scan on an item, and you'll see these little particles coming off of it. Now, scanning something high level, like for example, this reactor controller that I did in one of my previous tutorials, will give me 2 research for metallum. Metallum is the aspect for metal, or a metallic substance. So, you'll see now that if I go into my research table, it now has 4 metallum, which is metal. Now, I scanned this, and this is made, I don't know how it derived the aspects from it, but pretty much everything has preset aspect values. Mostly, if it's a primal thing like stone, it'll just be upon its makeup, and if it's a crafted thing like the reactor controller, it'll be either based on its crafting recipe, or just arbitrarily set if its crafting recipe contains complicated things that Thaumcraft can't understand. So, Thaumcraft's pretty good at assigning values to things. If I scan reactor casing, I get another metallum. And you'll see along the bottom right-hand corner, it said, gained 1 research points for metallum. That is usually correlated with the amount of and type of aspects that an item has. Once you have discovered an aspect, you can scan other things that have that aspect. See, now this had ordo and metallum, and I gained 5 research points for metallum and 1 for ordo, because this has 5 and 1. Reactor glass, nothing can be learned from it because Thaumcraft doesn't understand the crafting recipe. Access port, 2 metallum. These are both the same item, technically, so they don't have different aspects. Power tap, I can't understand it because it has redstone in its crafting recipe, then that has fairly high level aspects in it that I can't understand. So the way aspects work is they are basically, they have the 6 primals. The 6 primals can be combined into secondary tier aspects. Those secondaries can be combined into tertiary tier aspects, and so on. Metallum is a secondary tier aspect, and you can see what aspects are made up of by clicking on the Aspects of Magic button in the Basic Information tab on the Thaumanomicon. You can see there's tabs down here. You'll use these later. Stuff like the Electric Magic Tools tab and the Thaumcraft Extras tab will not appear for you because I have these extra mods installed that you will not have because they are not included by default in the pack. If you're constructing your own pack, add these because they're cool. Click on the Aspects of Magic button, and you can go over to this page, which shows you all of your aspects that you have. You will see this is a primal. It's not composed of anything but what it is. Metallum is a secondary aspect because it is comprised of saxum and ordo. It is actually a tertiary aspect because saxum is a secondary aspect because it is comprised of 2 terra. So, you have to scan something that has saxum before you can scan something that has metallum. It's a good example. Scanning stone gives you metallum. Scanning cobblestone gives you metallum and perdito because cobblestone is a broken up or destroyed version of cobblestone, or regular stone, and perdito is an indication of destruction, so that works. Metallum, if you mouse over it, you can see that it comes from these items. These aren't all the items that have metallum, but these are the items you have scanned that have metallum. So it's an easy way to tell, where you can get your aspects easily. So, and then the little number indicates how much of each aspect they have. They may have other aspects, but they're still indicated here if they just include the aspect, not if they're primarily made up of the aspect. So that's a way to get aspects. What do you use them for? You use them in the research table to do research. You can click on one, click the blue or the green button, and you get research notes. Research notes are basically a page full of runes that contain arcane knowledge. These little nodes here, these purple dots, and I understand you can't see my mouse because then I'm indicating things with it again, and you can't see it, so I'll just try and call things out by their names. The purple circles are deactivated knowledge nodes. The glowing blue circle is an active knowledge node. And your intent is to link the active knowledge node with all of the deactivated knowledge nodes to make one complete set of research, and then you will get the research for it, and it'll go into the Thaumanomicon in its respective tab. The way you do research is you use aspects, again. So the aspect you research to get the research nodes is always the primary aspect in the research, or it is at least related in some way. So you see the little check mark on Aqua, that means it is included. So click on it again, click on the research button. These runes will light up blue, which means that they are connected with the Aqua aspect, and that you have discovered that this rune here is the Aqua aspect. Now, your objective is to basically connect a chain of activated runes and nodes from the active node to the last deactivated node in a line. You cannot branch off. It has to be one continuous line. So this research is pretty hard to do because one of the nodes is sort of off in the lower corner and the other 2 are up here. So it's not exactly easy to connect to the other one, but luckily I have a slightly easier version here. You can see I've already done some. The way you move them is you click on the rune, and you'll see these little dots extending from it. Click on one of the dots, and the rune will move to that space. You will get research later on that allows you to move them further, and you will even get research later on that allows you to move activated nodes. At the beginning, I'm sorry, runes, not nodes. At the beginning, you can't move these. If you try to move them with any eye off, you'll see active runes can't be moved in the lower right-hand corner. So, not good. In order to deactivate them, you just do the same thing you did to activate them. Click it again. They'll all go off. Remember what they were, and then you can move them freely and activate them again, and they will chain up the nodes. These have a connection radius of 1 space. So you'll see that fits in between there. That's the longest they can connect. They can't connect any further than that, or else they just won't make a connection. And you can have up to, I think, 10 different aspects on a single page. Each rune indicates an aspect, but some of them don't indicate anything on this piece of research anyway, and they will never be the same between researchers. Well, they will be the same, but it's impossible to predict what they will be. So this little person rune here that's lit up blue will not always indicate Aquas. You can't predict what nodes are going to indicate what. You have to sort of do it but from scratch. So when you click on something and research it, you will either get a little red X, which means that it is not included in the research. You will get a little check mark, which means that it is included in the research. Or you will get a little red fish to the lower left-hand corner, as in this one. On the aqua, it has a little red fish, which means red herring. This aspect would normally be included, but it is not. You'd expect it to be included in the research, but it is not included in the research. Basically, it's just telling you this is not bugged, it's just meant to not include this. So, something to remember. Once you connect all of the nodes, this will turn into a little scroll, which is, instead of research notes, it's research, or no, discovery. It's discovery, and then you can hold it in your hand and right-click it, and a little, like, achievement thing will come down from the upper left-hand corner of your screen that'll say research completed for the item that you just researched, and it'll show up in one of these tabs. In these tabs, there's some research that's already been done, for example, basic wand craft. And then, here's how the research works. Things that are lit up solid means you already have them and you can click them to view the research for them. This is for a iron-capped wooden wand, for example. Things that are flashing mean that the research is not done, but if you research the proper aspects in the table, you can get research notes for it. Complete those and you'll unlock it. Dark means that you do not have the required research or research notes for this. And so, for example, see this down here? This is sort of scribbled, and it indicates that you don't know what it is yet. And this is a Great Wood Wand Core, but I can't click on it because it's not unlocked yet. If I completed the research for the Great Wood Wand Core, then this would start flashing, which means that I could now complete the research for this, which happens to be the Silverwood Wand Core. Spoiler alert. I'm not going to tell you how to make it. Even if I did tell you, it wouldn't help, because even if you know how to make something, then it won't allow you to make it unless you have the research for it. So it's sneaky that way, even if you use the wiki or something like that. So that's how you do research. A couple other tools. Once you get research, a few basic research materials done, then you can start using stuff like the Arcane Work Table. One thing I forgot to mention in the beginning, you will need a crucible and a heat source for it. So the recommended materials I would pick are, and for the crucible itself, you will need a cauldron from vanilla, which is, as you remember, 7 iron ingots in a U shape. And then you'll need to set it in the world and right-click it with your wand, and it'll turn into a crucible. Then you'll need a heat source for it. I would recommend burning netherrack, so you just place netherrack like down here, and then you ignite it, and it'll heat up the crucible. Then you'll need to fill it with water, with just like a water bucket or something. Fill it up, and it'll begin to boil in a few seconds. And then that's pretty much it. And then you can use this to... Basically what the crucible does is when you toss something into it, then it'll melt down that item into its base aspects. So if you tossed in, say, stone, which I know it has, 2 saxum, toss in stone and it'll melt it down into 2 saxum. Then you can use the saxum for crafting stuff in the crucible. So it's just a handy way of melting down stuff into their components. Sorry. So that's pretty much it. Another thing to note, every time you get a research note, then you will use up 1 paper. So you will need paper. And another thing is also whenever you move a rune, it'll use up 1 durability from your scribing tools. When they hit 0, they have 100 durability. When they hit 0, they will just stop working. They won't break. They'll just give you a notification you have run out of ink and you can't move anything. And you will have to refill them by taking them out and combining them in a crafting table with an ink sac, and that'll refuel them to full durability, and you can start using them again. Also, whenever you get a red herring aspect, then the runes that correlated to that aspect will be removed from the GUI over to the right here. So any runes that sort of just disappear when you research something, that means it's a red herring aspect, and sort of just gotten those out of the way for you so that they don't mean anything anymore. So, yeah, that's pretty much it for basic research. Pretty much anything beyond this is a spoiler alert, so if you want me to do a spoiler video on this, go ahead. Tell me in the comments on this video, and I will do it. Just be warned that all the crafting recipes won't work, because you will have to have the research for them. I'll just sort of be giving you the aspects and stuff that you'll need for them. So just in case you're completely lost, then I can give you a video for that. Okay, oh, one more thing to note about the thermometer. You can not only scan blocks, but you can scan items and entities. So, for example, I can scan this zombie. And I can also scan just the items that are floating on the ground. And I can scan ores and stuff like that. I can even scan creepers, if you manage to scan them before they blow up. And most items from other mods will have aspects. Like I said, it'll usually be able to correlate the aspects to their crafting recipes. So it won't have much trouble, even if you add something from a different mod. I think it either works one of two ways. Either you define what the aspects are going to be, or you can, I think, tell Thaumcraft to auto-do it, and it'll just, like, search in Forge for the crafting recipe, and assign aspects to it that way. So, yeah, that's pretty much it. And, I think that concludes it. Thanks for watching.